is a Filipino environmental planner with 10 years of professional experience.
Sorry, talaga yung oras.
He helped create policy
Nakain ko na yung oras
for local government units towards smart solid waste management. He is also a lead author of an international paper on the solid waste management system of Malala City.
Nape-pressure na ko.
As former assistant professor at the University of the Philippines,
Nice. Ito sa kanya is
he supervised undergraduate research on the institutional waste management of the university. Among other research endeavors, his website article on the 15 important statistics on solid waste management in the Philippines ranks on the first page of Google search. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker to talk about proposing a local policy roadmap for smart solid waste management to the city of Oroqueta, EMP Marion, Micah R. Senior.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Marian Tino, EMP Tino, and I will be presenting our study that was supported by a German foundation on the city of Oroqueta. So this was a 6-week research on proposing a policy roadmap for creating smart solid waste management systems in the city of Oroqueta. So as you can see on the screen, this was the output that we gave to the German Foundation and also to the city of Oroqueta, mainly to the city Enro, on our proposal or our recommendation of having a policy roadmap for smart solid waste management. In preparing this roadmap, we interviewed representatives from the city government, and they selected 2 priority policies that are related to smart solid waste management. They also identified lead and supporting offices, stakeholders, and estimated time allotment for their selected policies. So this study, again, is supported by the German Foundation. Next slide, please. And I co-authored this with 2 of my former students. So creating local policy roadmaps towards smart solid waste management for the city of Oroqueta. My aim for today is to present to you or introduce to you an international resource that you can use and consider in your local government units, and give me feedback through email or even personally if this is really applicable to our Philippine cities and municipalities. I will start with a quote from a 2020 study that technologically enabled smart cities in developing countries can only be realized when concurrent socio-economic, human, legal, and regulatory reforms are instituted. In smart cities, waste management is not a compliance activity. Rather, it's a value creation strategy. We must see waste management as something that creates value. Smart solid waste management leverages technology to solve our long-standing solid waste management problems. Although, like how we use our cell phones, using smart technologies can also present risks primarily in data privacy, cyber vulnerability, and essentially social inequity. So, in doing this policy roadmap, we hope to mitigate these risks and processes associated with implementing smart technologies that, like you can see in this slide, some examples are already available and being
pala nung isang estudyante ko sa
There are
sa PCU
already
na
on-demand
ENP
waste recovery applications operating in our metropolitan centers.
Nagising lahat
And there are also GIS-based support systems for decision-making in solid waste management. So why do we need a smart solid waste management policy roadmap? Because even though we have opportunities like data-driven decision-making and more effective and efficient processes, smart technologies can have risks of online security, data privacy issues, and again, even widening the inequity or social inequality that are already persisting and have been evidenced during the pandemic. So again, this study has this general objective to create a roadmap for local policy interventions towards smart solid waste management. So how did we do this? We have two major methodologies. First is to create a case study for the city of Oroquieta through key informant interviews. We interviewed representatives for the from the city Enro and the city planning development office.
Thank you, thank you.
Secondly, because of constraints of the pandemic, we conducted online workshops through Google Jamboard. First, the LGU representatives prioritized policies. Secondly, we as the project team presented recommended steps for each policy. Third, LGU representatives identified the time frame and their projected offices that should be involved in the following steps. And our project team evaluated these results and recommended the policy roadmap that you saw at the start. So what are these policy models? The policy models that we use are the models that are published by the G20 Global Smart City Alliance. So these model policies are baselines for cities in policy development for smart city governance. And it is a means of identifying gaps in our own existing city policies. The roadmap during our writing was composed of these 5 principles. So these 5 principles are available actually online and you can consider them in your planning purposes. So to cite some examples, in solid waste management, having open data policies for smart governance can help us crowdsource waste generation and recovery data. If we have problems updating our waste characterization studies, we can use crowdsourcing if our data is open. Also, in terms of establishing waste facilities, we can plan our waste facilities according to our road and internet connectivity so that our infrastructure plans would be synchronized and it will not produce more hindrances to our stakeholders. So again, our case study was in Oroquieta City, and I hope if representatives from Oroquieta City are here, you can provide feedback on really the applicability of this study. So according to our key informant interviews, some of the top challenges, and I hope you can relate to this, in solid waste management in their locality is first institutional arrangements because of the absence of at that time a specific solid waste management office, and secondly the establishment of a sanitary landfill that was hindered by the pandemic, and also the absence of an updated waste characterization study, again because of the constraints of the pandemic. So this again is the roadmap that we propose to the solid waste at the Oroquieta City. So what are the elements of this roadmap? First is the identification of the first priority policy, that is the Dig Once for digital infrastructure. The main policy objective is to reduce cost and complexity of digital infrastructure rollout. With this policy, LGU representatives expressed more connected and synchronous operations can occur. This is in line with experiences abroad because in the case of the Greater London Authority, 1,600 days were saved because of the presence of a Dig Once policy. This policy also includes sample steps like inventory of plans and programs related to digital connectivity, and also a call for a forum that coordinates the different stakeholders, not only of solid waste management, but also of road transportation and internet connectivity projects. The second priority that the city representatives selected was the open data policy. This is in line with the experience of the Global Smart Cities Alliance, in that in their pioneer cities, 53% already adopted an open data policy. Why should an open data policy be adopted or even considered in your local governments? Prioritizing a local open data policy is related to planning. Outdated and inaccessible data is an obstacle to effective local planning. With data in open form, the LGU representatives expressed that they can write their plans more effectively because not only coordination is improved, but also the relationships between the offices are enhanced. So even with changes to focal persons, solid waste management, and even other local data can be accessible. So those two policies were the priorities that were selected by Oroquieta City. Again, my objective for this presentation is to present to you an international resource that you can consider for your local government policies. So in conclusion, resolving institutional problems in solid waste management is the most immediate intervention. In the case of Oroquieta City, the absence of a specific solid waste management office was the top institutional challenge that they expressed. And secondly, we can talk about smart technologies all we want, but implementing these smart solid waste management technologies would require our foundational policies to be fixed first. Secondly, my second conclusion is that implementing smart solid waste management policies can help enhance the planning of common waste facilities, especially if our problem is funding sanitary landfills. Our law provides for common waste facilities or clustering of LGUs for common waste facilities. Smart governance can help us start the conversations about these particular facilities. So, if you want to consider this research, some caveats that this research only had a few LGU representatives, and future researchers would benefit from having more officials of the city solid waste management system involved. Also, because of pandemic constraints, online workshops were conducted, and as we have experienced in this face-to-face convention, warm bodies really help improve studies. So next, policies were only overviewed to the city government representatives because of a short study period, and I am personally recommending that in line with our creating our 10-year waste management studies, we should explore better data management in our waste characterization studies so that we can conduct institutionalized long-term studies in-house or in our LGUs. So, again, if you want to explore this study, you can download it through this QR code. And if you have more questions, please don't hesitate to email me. Thank you and have a good afternoon.
Yes, thank you so much, Ian, Marion, Mika, Artino.
14
And next
minutes.
up, we are going to proceed to the open forum.
Tara, halika na.
14 na. Ayan na, good luck.
Parallel session speakers are invited to go on stage po together with our session speakers are the panelists and the moderators. We have Engineer Michelle Sinalyare, Director of the Center of Skills Upgrading and Institutional Leaders at the Polo Institute of Technology, and EMP Patrick Jerome Escoaza, the PIEP Stock
Ay,
Surgeon
meron pa?
Chapter
Ha?
I.
Nag-uusap pa
Diyan
din.
na si
May
Sir
ganun
Marian,
pa.
nagababa na.
Diyan na
Oh,
siya.
congratulations, sir! Yay!
Ano po tayo?
Medyo kinabahan talaga ako.